Hi, I'm Fernando Sosa from WorryFreeMD and HaonTech.com. And in this quick video, I'm going to share with you what's included in our healthcare cybersecurity stack. Many times I get asked the question, how much is your IT support or how much is your cybersecurity? And typically what I want to make sure I answer the question, but the better question is really not how much, but what is included in the service that you're offering. And many times I find that people make the mistake and ask the question of price, but they don't really know the details of what they're asking for. And they get stuck with just a label, for example, IT support or cybersecurity. And then they go and look around for different prices and they're calling it the same thing for different companies, but they end up getting different services because the label itself, for example, cybersecurity is a very broad term. So one company might call something cybersecurity and what they include in their services might be different than what other company might call the same thing cybersecurity, but include different services. So, and it's all good as long as you understand what is it that you're buying, what's included in the service. Because if you don't, and it's okay because you're not necessarily, you don't have to be a technical person and understand all the details, but you need to understand that there's differences in the services that different companies provide, and they may call it the same thing. So if you want to compare apples to apples, you want to make sure that you get into a little bit more details than just the price. Otherwise, you'll ultimately be shopping and making a decision based on price. And that's a disservice for you because you're not going to get what you really need if you're just comparing price alone. So in the next slide here, I'm going to share with you what's included in our standard cybersecurity stack so you can see how we stand out from the rest and how we can better help you. Now, as I said before, you don't have to be a technical person to understand everything. So it comes to a point where you need to trust the company that you're going to do business with because, again, many people can sell you something and you don't really know what you're getting in return because you're not a technical person. So there is a trust factor there where you need to trust the company that you're going to work with and not just get a vendor, but get an IT partner that has your best interest in mind as well. Not just making money off of you, but wants you to succeed. So let's jump in my computer and I'll share with you what we include in our cybersecurity offering. Okay, so this is our security stack. Now, before getting into the layers of protection, it's good to understand that cybersecurity has to be approached in a multifaceted way. There's different layers of protection that you need to be aware of. It's very similar to protecting your home, for example. You might have a door lock. You might have more than one door lock in your front door. Maybe you have an alarm system. Maybe you have motion detectors. Maybe you have a camera, a surveillance camera. Those are different layers of protection that you have in your home. So with cybersecurity, it's very similar. You have different layers of protection. So our cybersecurity stack, I'm going to show you, has different layers of protection, and I'm going to get into them briefly. So the first layer of protection is what's called DNS protection. Before our first approach in protecting your office is to protect it from outside. DNS protection basically protects you from going to websites and services that are determined to have malware. So before your office staff member goes to a particular website, that URL is actually scanned on the DNS side. That's a domain name service, and that gets flagged. Is there any if it has any malware? We also filter what's called content filtering, where we discuss with you what categories of sites we want to block. So people cannot go and visit different websites either because it's a waste of time or it may introduce risks into the network. So this is done with DNS protection. So this is outside of your network. The next layer of protection is having a managed HIPAA-compliant firewall. This is very key because it's your first line of defense in your network. It protects traffic going inside and outside of your network, and it's important to have it properly set up to be HIPAA compliant. It's not enough to just have a modem and a router that you get in the office supply store and just think that you're protected. No, there's certain things that you have to be aware of, that you have to protect yourself in order to be secure on an ongoing basis and be HIPAA compliant. So one layer of protection that we include is managed firewall. That includes the firewall appliance and managing it on an ongoing basis. The next layer of protection is endpoint protection, which is actually on the actual devices. This is what's typically called the antivirus solution, anti-malware. We go a step beyond where all of these services that we have are remotely monitored and managed. So this is not just an antivirus solution that runs on autopilot. It's something that we constantly monitor. We have our network operations system where we have dashboards and alerts and triggers that warn us of anything that needs to be taken care of. So the endpoint protection is on the individual devices. The next layer of protection is security patch management. It's very important that all your computers are up to date because that's how malware, that's how hackers attack companies. The low-hanging fruit is to get to companies that have outdated computers. Now, our approach to patch management is we test the patches before they are implemented, because sometimes patches are released and they actually cause issues and then they have to be removed. So before we implement the patches, we don't automatically patch computers. We test them in our lab and then we whitelist them and then get them ready to be applied into your network. If there's an issue that we determine, then they get blacklisted and then you don't receive those patches because they have issues and we wait for them to be fixed by the vendors. Okay, that's our security patch management. And the next one we have on as a layer is the remote monitoring and management. Like I said before, we have our dashboards where all these services that we provide are monitored. So we get notified by issues and we may address them even before you know that they exist. So we remotely monitor and manage all the services and are always alerting, always alerted with any issues that come. The next layer of protection is email encryption. It's very important for you to have a HIPAA compliant email encryption solution because PHI is easily available on these emails that you're sending. PHI doesn't necessarily mean a complete medical record. Bits and pieces of information put together can identify a patient record. So that is a very easy entry point for hackers and also to be subject to a HIPAA violation. So definitely do not use free email services. None of these free email services are going to provide you a signed business associate agreement. You have to have at least one email, one HIPAA compliant email account with email encryption. So that's included in our service. The next thing is you want to have a HIPAA compliant file sync, sharing, and backup solution. It's very important that in your office you have a capability to store your files in one particular location that is securely stored and be able to share them, for example, an office folder that is shared with multiple users in a HIPAA compliant way, and you're also able to share with external users in a HIPAA compliant way. That's part of our offering. The next layer of protection is hardware encryption. Similar to email encryption, you also want to have your devices encrypted, especially your mobile devices like your laptops. We encrypt those, and that lowers your risk for a breach in the unfortunate event that a laptop gets lost or stolen. The other layer of protection that we have is multi-factor authentication. You may have heard of two-factor authentication, and that's the process or service where you log into a website or a service and you get a text message in return with a code, and then you actually enter the code and it allows you to enter. That's called two-factor authentication, but we go a little bit beyond that, and it's multi-factor because it's more than two. There's more than two ways to get authenticated, and all the users have that protection in your office. So that adds another layer of protection. It's very important to have that type of protection in your office. And lastly, the weakest link in security is not the technology, it's people. More than 90% of the breaches occur because of some human factor. So for this reason, we have security awareness training for everybody that's on our security stack. So security awareness training helps drastically reduce errors, human error that cause breaches and data leaks. And of course, we have our 24/7 help desk support. You no longer have to wait for a single technician to help you. We have a team of technicians always available via email, phone, or chat. And we have our ticket systems where everything is logged and we run reports on the issues, so we always know what's going on. And we have different shifts. We have a 24-hour shifts, the 8 to 6 shift, and a weekend and after-hour shifts. So we always have technicians available with our help desk. So this is what's included in our standard security stack. In addition to that, we offer advanced security services like dark web monitoring. We have our HIPAA risk assessments. We're very comprehensive. We do phishing attack simulations. We do network vulnerability scans and breach. And we also have a breach protection and response team to help you in the event that you do get breached and what to do next. We also, in addition to that, we have these other services that are not necessarily security services, but are like business. We have business phone systems for medical practices, website services, marketing. We do marketing, digital marketing for patient marketing. We have our HIPAA training. We also have a time clock and attendance system of biometric time clocks that is very good for you to have, so you don't have to worry about handwritten timesheets anymore. We are a Microsoft partner, so we provide Office 365, and we also have cloud desktop servers and infrastructure. So those are the services that we offer. Schedule a consultation or visit the website. Click on the link on this page and you can get in touch with us so we can actually give you a pricing for your particular office, because it all depends on the size of your office, the complexity, and different services that we're going to include. But we have this security stack, so you know now what we offer. Thank you very much. I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.